Always some broke, poor drunk that's going to tell you, oh, man, look what all Trump did. Like yesterday, Reb, you handled them well. You handled it well. Those special Negroes that, try to be important, didn't even know how to talk, didn't know politics. You asked two of them, was they registered to vote? I don't vote. Good. I'm glad you don't vote. I want you to keep supporting Trump. But you handled it in a way that I think a lot of hosts, if they had been listening, they would have learned something. You don't shut people out. Let people say what they have to say and learn something about the other side. They bring their personal feelings and all that emotional is, man, that don't mean nothing. People need to learn what the other side is thinking, how they feel, and you walk away with something. That back and forth banging on people and all that, man, you putting your feelings into something, that don't mean anything. We're trying to win an election so we don't be in bondage or chained. Understand, and I heard you say this one time, Reverend Tyler, they keep talking about chains and balls. They're talking, and you explain it, they're talking about your mental capacity. They're not talking about putting some physical chains on you and all that there. And that stayed with me, and I use that a lot of times when I'm talking to students and all about that ball and chain. It ain't about that. It's about your mental capacity of what they put in your head over and over again, and you begin to believe it. That's why a lot of these kids running around here doing all this violence, because of what they hear all the time, constantly. Hear it at home. They hear it on TV. Have a good one.
George, thank you, bro. All right. We gave you a long runway there, man. Thank you. He really got on one good point there, is the split screen image that, Trump demanding that time may have actually hurt him more than it helped him. Because saying, it was bombastic to say the least. And it's like this, on the other side, it's this calm conversation where, again, even with things that you don't agree with, it's a real civil exchange. And I think from a voting standpoint, you had a chance to see that, let's pull all the other stuff out of it, all the issues, because really what this is about is the kind of mood in the country that people want, right? And it's like, being in a relationship with someone who is unstable. And maybe some people out there can relate to this, that it may be fun for a while, but it becomes exhausting.
Looked like he was off the rails as usual.
Right.
I want to make sure we got to get to Rico. So Rico in Delaware, welcome to the Power Hour.
Really disheartening that I'm being classified as a troll because I'm a black man with a majority of your listeners that I have been there. Before this COVID-19 thing happened, I was a never Trumper. I hated him. I just was not with Trump. This COVID-19 thing made me sit down and made me have to actually do the research to find out what's going on. I mean, do the research far as on the Republican Party, do the research back, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about the 200 years or whatever, however long they've been in power. I mean, however long, they've been around. I had to do the research to go back to find out that Democrats are a part of everything that was wrong in this country, inventing the founding of the KKK, segregation. They were against the Civil Rights War, the Civil Rights Movement. Like, I had to go back and do this and find out, who was the opposing party. Now, Democrats don't want to do. They want to stop that. Why would I vote for that? Why would I vote against my own best interest?
So all right. So white folk did not start the Republican Party. Lincoln was a Republican, and black folk obviously voted Republican. Black concerns. The Democrats were not. That all shifted around the Kennedy administration, and black folk en masse moved their registrations. I mean, most of us, your parents, mine, if they are a certain age, they were probably Republicans for a very long time first before becoming Democrat. So the historical argument that, trying to tie this modern Democratic Party with those acts would be like trying to compare this modern Republican Party with that historical Republican Party, when we know that if this were 100 years ago, the roles would be switched. But I'm actually more interested in this. You said that COVID-19 made you a Trump supporter, when most people are saying COVID-19 is what, if they did support him because of how he botched it and now so many people are dead and he refuses to acknowledge masks being important even though he caught COVID. How exactly did COVID make you support Trump?
Okay, when I say that, I mean that the locking down of the country, the locking down of the stores and things like that made me have to sit down and had set me down to do investigations and things of that sort. You're talking about how he addressed the whole pandemic thing, right?
I am, yeah, and the lack of addressing it, because Bob Woodward, played the tapes where he acknowledged that it's deadly, but he doesn't want to play it up because creating a panic is bad for the economy and his reelection choices, his hopes, and yet, he allowed a lot of people to go out believing that they were safe when they weren't. So, I mean, even his own Republican colleagues acknowledged that he totally screwed that up. And you said that, COVID is what led you to him. I'm just trying to figure that part out.
Well, I mean, there's a very big population now. I mean, a group of people who don't believe that this was ever a pandemic on the scales that they have been pushing. You know what I'm saying? The CDC with the botch numbers. People dying in motorcycle crashes. They get labeled as COVID. That hospitals that get more money because they've been pushing. So there's a narrative behind all this that. You know what I mean? If you're looking and watching like I was watching, where every 2 days something different, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, things like that, whereas though, it just make some people may think that this thing is political, in which I still believe it's political. There's no way in the world we should be locked down like we should be on lockdown the way we were locked down. I mean, if anything, quarantine the sick people.
All right, hey Rico, look, impacted, bro. We gotta roll, but I appreciate you calling and glad to know you're not a troll. We want to hear from you again. Bishop, it's in your hands.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for giving the call in. Thank you, George, and thank you, Rico, for checking us out here on the Power Hour. Appreciate Jordan for everything that he does. We'll be back Monday morning, 6 a.m., bright and early, with the best in politics, latest news, and of course our opinions. Go out and change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
Deuces.